Hi everyone, my name is Car, and I'm going to be talking about the assignment we have this week, which is survival of the sneakiest. So I'm going to go in a chronological order and discuss each question as it comes by and add what I have to say through my notes and the book questions. So the very first one is, what does fitness mean in evolutionary terms? When it comes to cricket fitness, what features do they benefit from having to promote reproduction? So fitness is essentially reproductive success of an individual or a species relating to how many characteristics they're able to or can add to the future generations and to the gene pool of their offsprings for next generation. And features that benefit having to promote reproduction are having being a stronger male which is a good singer and is able to attract a female. And also a second one is a smart male who's very opportunistic, who's able to take advantage of a situation that's presented to him and instead takes advantage and gets to mate with the female. And for the second question is, although calling is the dominant trait in the cricket population in the cartoon, explains reasons why sometimes it's good versus reasons why calling can be bad or risky. So as we read in the comic, it can be good because if a male is a good and clear singer and is able to produce a frequency that a female can register, so it'll be producing a really good situation where a female can listen to him and come and mate with him and produce viable offsprings that in that way the male is able to pass on his genes through her for the offsprings and hence through the next generation. And it could be bad because if a male is also a good singer, it will give a chance for the predator to hear from him and come and get and eat him as we saw in the comics. So that's something that will result in like a bad consequence and of a good characteristic. And moving on to the third question is, describe three different situations in the story in which a cricket is accidentally eliminated from mating and thus unable to pass on his cricket genes. So as we saw, so the first situation I will discuss is when other opportunistic male took advantage of the situation. So even though the male one was calling for the female and trying to attract her to mate, instead male two, which was a smart guy, took advantage of the situation and mated instead. So that's how he lost male one lost his chance. And the second one is a predator eats him. So when we saw the bat come by and eat the male one because he was really loud and loudly chirping, which sort of let the predator hear him. And third one is when nobody got to sing at all. So when the third scenario when nobody sang and hence they wouldn't able to attract any female and thus had zero chance of producing viable offspring and passing on their genes to the next generation. Moving on to the fourth question is, ultimately, would you say that the pattern of natural selection that is currently at work in the population of crickets in this history is stabilizing, directional, or disruptive? Review examples in the text page 77 in thinking about the justification for this answer. Keep in mind that natural selection favors population traits that have the greatest possibility to increase growth in a population in a specific environment. So I'm going to go with what I thought was the best answer after discussing all the comic strips that we read, okay? So I thought it was actually disruptive pattern in natural selection because it pretty much defines that it's a pattern of variation which is discontinuous, and individuals at both ends of the range produce more offspring than someone who doesn't have specific traits at all. So we saw in the comic, like on one end there was a male who was a good singer and was able to, in a situation where he's a good singer and is able to mate with a female and hence produce viable offsprings and pass on the genes. And on the end of the spectrum is a male who's very opportunistic. So who might not be a good singer, but is still able to pass on the genes to the next generation because he took advantage of the chance that was presented to him. So it sort of lies in the between. So I think it's actually disruptive pattern of natural selection, and hence both on the both ends, both males have a really good chance of increasing that growth in population in a specific environment such as this. And the last question is, in what specific ways does the environment influence the practice of cricket calling? I can specify two conditions. First, the season. So, as we in the end of the comic has said, if it was a hot day, it tends to be, as research shows, is like it's a hot day, males tend to chirp really loud and clear, which attracts more females. So, this would give a good chance for attracting a lot of females by the male, and hence having a very large chance of mating. And the second one I thought was like frequency of predators in a certain environment. So if there are a lot of predators, if a male is even trying to chirp and try to attract a female, so that all the predators will hear him and hence like reduce the chance of producing producing offspring and having a chance of mating. So I think that's is all. This is for now what I have to say about the questions, and I'm looking forward to listening to what you guys have to say about it. Thank you.